Viewers are advised that the following program contains content that may disturb some viewers.
Hello and welcome to Australia Wide. I'm Letitia Lemke. On the show this week, shaking things up.
What does Australia look like when we have much higher unemployment because of disruptive technologies?
If we're going to solve big problems using technology, why don't we position ourselves in Western Australia as experts in that domain?
The boom in guns.
We're seeing arsenals accumulated in urban areas. We're seeing it in different parts of Australia.
And when the price becomes too high.
A lot of people seem to think that what they got hooked on was the losing as much as the winning. When you lose, you get a little rush of dopamine to say it's okay, don't worry about the fact you just lost $5,000, and you kind of get hooked on that.
First though, every day around the country, thousands of policemen and women are on the job serving the community, but they pay a higher price than most in the course of their daily duties. Their exposure to repeated trauma and distress leaves them particularly vulnerable to mental health issues and suicide risk. Now, some Queensland police officers have decided to share that personal toll with Australia Wide, and they've told reporter Josh Bavis what changes they want to see inside the force.
I saw a whole heap of dust in front of me, and the dust was settling, and I realised that something had happened.
Sergeant Glenn Thomas was nearly finished his shift when a horrific tragedy unfolded in front of him.
As I looked over at the main vehicle that looked like it had been crushed, I could see that there were 3 people in there and there was no movement.
An elderly couple and their female friend would die, the victims of a decision to turn into oncoming traffic on the outskirts of Toowoomba late last year.
It was a mess. There was property, personal property all over the road that had been thrown from the car. There was skid marks, there was petrol everywhere.
It was the most confronting scene he'd faced in a 15-year career, and he's still shaken by it.
I don't want to think about the next time that happens. You think, yeah, got through that one, let's hope another one doesn't occur. Because, all those things are going to take a toll.
These are people who get up every day to protect us, to save our lives, and every day mostly are exposed to incredibly traumatic events. They are witness to death, they are witness to people dying.
What the rest of the community sees on the news, police and emergency workers see firsthand.
All 8 were children aged between about 18 months and 15 years. At least some of them had been stabbed.
Before they rush in to end a standoff that paralysed the heart of the city during the lunchtime rush.
A pregnant woman, her father and son were found dead in the family home on the outskirts of Toowoomba.
The people that come in the front door to join our organisation are human. They come with the same hopes and aspirations as everybody else, but also the same vulnerabilities. These are not superhuman people.
The exact toll on their mental health isn't clear, but first responders are overrepresented when it comes to suicide. From 2000 to 2012, across the country, 110 took their own lives, 62 were police.
We, like the broader community, are losing people and have lost even in the last year. We've lost at least 3 members to suicide.
A lot of men and women suffer in silence and unfortunately then develop PTSD and other kinds of mental health issues, or indeed, experience suicidal thought because they just can't get rid of the images and the experiences that they've been subjected to.
I've turned, I've looked, it's a man pointing at my face, is a .22 calibre rifle.
Senior Sergeant Daryl Green and 2 colleagues were gunned down as they sat in a police car in suburban Brisbane in May 2000. Police communications recorded the shooting.
We got someone shot. Someone's got a gunshot. Code 1. Officer down. Get a car there now.
He was shot twice, one bullet shattering his teeth and lodging under his tongue. The offender took his own life after a few days on the run. Daryl Green and his colleagues survived, but the ordeal weighed heavily in the years that followed.
It's like being in a car going 300 kilometres an hour and slamming the brakes on. It's just that sudden, overwhelming impact. And that was I knew it was bad, I just didn't know how bad psychologically it was going to be for me.
He still suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, but continues in the service and now speaks to other police around the country. He's even produced a video to provide an insight into his recovery.
It needs to be recognised, it can be treated, and the sooner it's detected, the better the outcomes. And that's slowly filtering through the emergency services.
We're dealing with decades of cultures in first responder industries and agencies of suck it up, sweetheart. Very male-dominated workplaces where traditionally showing signs of weakness has not been the right thing to do for your career or indeed, what you're trained to do.
But Assistant Commissioner Brian Codd says that's changing.
I don't want us to be experts in funerals. I don't want us to be experts in the critical incident responses that have negative impacts. What I'd much rather do is us invest our energy in understanding that this is part of our job and putting in preventative measures to build up our resilience so that the negative consequences aren't catastrophic.
Queensland Police are spearheading a campaign to break down the stigma. On this convoy from Brisbane to Melbourne, officers including Daryl Green will share their stories with other first responders and the military.
We're chipping away at all levels in our organisation and have got tremendous buy-in from our executive leadership team about the importance of focusing on a safe and healthy workplace.
Last year, Queensland Police opened an anonymous counselling service for officers to get help. And Victoria's Police Commissioner recently promised to overhaul that state's approach.
Part of that culture has been you will cope, you'll suck it up, you'll get on with the job. But from here on, we've got to change that culture.
But nationwide, there's a lack of knowledge about what happens to police after they leave their jobs. Beyond Blue is about to launch a nationwide survey to find out.
For the first time, we will be able to share data with first responder agencies and indeed the community, so that decisions can be made, policies can be developed, programs can be developed, and we really have a sense of a benchmark that we can measure progress against.
For those on the thin blue line, there's solace in knowing backup's there.
I'll be out with my family, having a meal at a cafe, and the phone will ring. And when that phone rings, you just don't know what it's going to be. You cringe, you answer the phone, you take that call, and then you start to process it. Who is around that's going to be able to help you, and then you go out and you deal with the job the best you can.